up, everybody? Happy Saturday. It's the half hour of horror birthday special because it's my birthday. I turned 41 today. It's also my anniversary. I got married on my birthday. It's a funny story, but we won't get into that today. But it makes sense if you hear it. I got married on my birthday. We've been together for 17 years. I'm 41. I'm excited to be here with you guys to celebrate and talk about some horror stuff. As with me as always. Oh, hey, it's Chase. What's going on, man?
How are you doing, Aaron? Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited. It's fun to see my BOH family and all of our friends here today to chat about some horror. We have guests with us. I mean, what's a birthday party without some guests?
Gotta have guests.
We have first time. I believe you've spoken on the show, but this is the first time on the video side of it. We have Skylar on the show. How's it going, Skylar?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Happy birthday.
Thanks. Appreciate it. You ready to talk some Italian horror?
Yes. I'll preface it by saying I'm very focused, or my watch history is very focused on Argento.
I mean, he is the master of it. Bava started, so Argento could finish it. And an oft guest, one of our favorites, Christopher Carlson. Welcome, buddy. How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? How's everybody?
Doing all right.
Good.
Welcome to the birthday spectacular. We're having some fun today talking about Giallo films, and as always, I do some research. I get into it. Write a bunch of notes. It's called Giallo in Italian. As I'm sure many of you know, that means yellow. And it means yellow because in Italy, throughout the 40s and 50s, there were these yellow books that were like mystery novels, but they weren't just like your regular Agatha Christie mysteries. They were like sleazy mysteries that had a lot of sex and murder in them, and people loved them. And then when they started making movies in this genre, they just called it, just called it Giallo because it was in the same vein, the same genre of like sleazy pulp mysteries. And the first person to be accredited for doing it is Mario Bava, the godfather of Giallo. He did a movie first called Black Sunday, which is more of a straight gothic horror. Freaking phenomenal if you guys haven't seen it. But
I actually watched it before we went on air today.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, nice.
But then he did a movie called The Girl Who Knew Too Much, which is considered the first Giallo film, and it's a murder mystery classic. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it. But Black Sunday, you said you just saw it. What'd you think of it?
I really loved it. I really loved kind of the witch element of it, which we would kind of see because when you think of Giallo, you think of kind of the murder mystery, black gloves.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, you would see kind of the witch element in something like Suspiria and Inferno later on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was definitely something different. Honestly, felt kind of like watching an old Universal horror.
It has that vibe. It's really good. Black Sunday's just a classic. But yeah, it's kind of proto Giallo. It's just an Italian horror film, and it wasn't until they started doing like the murder mysteries and the sort of pseudo slashers is when it really gets the genre going. Black Sunday's phenomenal. Skylar, what's your introduction to this genre, and what is one that you've kind of been excited about?
So definitely my favorite all time and my first one is Suspiria. It's first time I saw it was a local theater that plays it pretty much every Halloween, and yeah, pretty much it's a Halloween tradition. And
Awesome.
in the pandemic, I did like a marathon watch through of pretty much a good portion of Argento's filmography, and that's when I really got into the genre and his style specifically.
That's awesome.
Now
Suspiria,
do we count Suspiria as a Giallo?
I think purely because of who made it. I don't think it's because Giallo then just transforms into Italian horror. Like you say
Right.
Giallo, I think a lot of people consider, I mean, I have Zombie on my list. That's not a Giallo, but
No.
it's an Italian horror film by the master Fulci, who is absolutely in that genre. And I think it becomes a broad sense. And I think Suspiria, like, because it's Argento and because it's in that Italian horror vibe and because it has a lot of the hallmarks of what Italian cinema is doing, what the Giallos were doing, I think you have to include it in the conversation, and I definitely want to have a moment where we talk about it versus its remake counterpart later in the episode, because that could be its own episode in its own right. Well, what about you, Chris? What is your like banger go to when you're thinking about this genre?
Well, my go-to compared to my first foray are very different.
Oh, well, hit me with both. Yeah. What do you
So
got?
I started off with Argento. I think Deep Red was probably the first, and then I kind of just got lost into it. I think I saw Tenebrae, and then go back to Argento's first, the girl with the crystal plumage, which they're all fantastic. And then I started like venturing out, and I found this movie called The New York Ripper by Lucio Fulci, which is the best movie. And if you haven't seen it, you are in for a treat. It is just
okay.
It takes everything to the nth degree.
I don't know what you're in for, but yeah, man.
It's so good.
This is the one you guys got me to watch, because I you got me to watch this one. I watched it last night.
So here's the thing. So Aaron and I have been talking about doing a Giallo episode since I've joined the show like a year ago.
Yeah.
And like it was like our top two most talked about, we got to do this, were Hellraiser and Giallo. The thing is, I know all about the Hellraiser movies. Like I know fuck all about Giallo.
Right.
So we finally scheduled a day for it. So I think I told you, Aaron, I'm starting with Phenomena. And you gave me a list. And then I had kind of posted something on social media about it. Skylar, you replied with your own list. And then like not long after me and Skylar finished talking, Chris, you messaged me like, hey man, check out Ripper.
You were watching, you were like posted something on your Insta that you were watching like Deep Red or something, like you had just started getting into Giallo, and I was like, you gotta watch New York Ripper. It is the best.
It is.
Oh my that. So I watched it 2 days later, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like,
it's a banana.
So wild.
It is a sleaze fest. It
really you want to take a shower bizarre. Afterwards.
It is so weird because this is Lucio Fulci, again, master of the genre, most notably usually known for his zombies, but also known for a lot of eye trauma. This movie's like. The most simple version is a man who talks like a duck murders women all over the city of New York. That's like the most basic thing. And people are like, wait, no, he's not talking like a duck, is he? And you're like, no, he's going while he stabs people. The violence in this is so over the top and so gritty. In a way that like Fulci really is known for. I mean, everybody knows the eye gouge from the zombie shark, but this has this moment where a guy slits a neck and the camera is inside of the neck and you see the opening and him looking as the blood pours out. And that to me is like this moment of like the brilliance of the Italian eye, the brilliance of these Fulci movies, of like what he does with gore and the ballet that he makes out of it. This has some very gnarly and disturbing moments, a razor blade through the eye. It's so guttural, but it also is so all over the place, because the first 20 minutes of the movie is just like weird scenes of just shitty people.
The plot doesn't really start until almost half the movie.
Yeah.
So my brother, who's on the YouTube, he says, did Fulci have a thing for ducks? Because he also did Don't Torture a Duckling.
Right.
And I'm beginning to wonder, like, I mean, he does have a thing for people in blue pencils. He has a thing for eye trauma. He might have a thing for ducks too.
That's Skylar, very possible.
Yes, I actually watched this one yesterday.
Oh, hell yeah.
I watched actually back to back. So New York Ripper and then Torso. I found them thematically very similar and similar in a lot of ways. But with the New York Ripper, the thing that stood out to me the most was how in the beginning and also throughout, it's like, yes, there's the serial killer throughout, but also every man in New York City is a predator, and these women are not safe no matter where they are. And that element, I think, really stuck out and was well done in that one.
Here's a question though, like, are they doing that as trying to say something, or are they doing it because at the time men were just shitty. Like, not to say we've gotten a ton better, but like, I think we don't. I don't know. That's a whole different conversation. But you know what I'm trying to say? Is it
everything in that movie is just very over the top to like shine a spotlight on everything that they're doing, the sex, the gore, the abuse women take just day to day. Now, is it like done on purpose to like say, hey, this is bad? Or is it just used as like a plot device? Just like,
I mean,
you're gonna say something shitty to women and it's gonna be great. Like,
these are like, this is a horror film, and this is a horror film that centers around violence towards women, and it's unfortunate reality, especially back then, is that no matter where you are, anyone could be a predator and you don't know. And even, I think it just amplifies the whole horror of the film, even though it's centered on one antagonist.
This past week, a TV show on Netflix came out called Adolescence, and it is still dealing with this very subject. It's not graphic, but the cool thing about it is it's 4 episodes, and every episode is done in a single take. And from a technical standpoint, it is absolutely brilliant. From an acting standpoint, it is all the awards, please. Stephen Graham is probably the actor you'll recognize from it. He really likes one-take projects. He did Boiling Point, not a horror film, but a great project. I cannot tout this project enough. 4 episodes, but it's about a 13-year-old boy who murders a girl in his class, and the fallout from that. 4 episodes. Each episode there's no cuts. And after watching it, they don't hide any cuts. I truly believe it's all just done in handoffs and drone hands-offs and just crazy technicality. But they're still dealing with this subject that boys and men do not know how to talk to women, how to relate to women, how to respect and listen.
I think it's a constant theme in Giallo is like it's always men versus women. And often. Like in a lot of these movies, they kind of lead you to believe that a man is doing all these things and it ends up being a woman.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the shocker, is that it was a female. And you're like, in the 70s especially, you're like, oh, how the hell could a woman have done these horrific things, and why? Yeah. Like, what's the reasoning? And that's kind of like always the interesting thing about Giallo is the motive behind the killer. It's like dragged out throughout the whole movie, and you get these little like breadcrumbs of information. You're right there along with the detective or the protagonist, who's not usually a detective but gets very involved in the case themselves, and you're all trying to figure it out together. And then at the end, it's like usually the last 5 minutes of the movie, everything comes together and you're like, oh fuck, wait, what the hell? How did we get here?
I would give Giallo a nod as being like a neo-noir. Like when you look at noir films, they're mystery, they're bad dames,
it's very Hitchcockian. Like a lot of stuff is very Hitchcock here.
And they're taking inspiration from all of that. New York Ripper, especially Fulci, was like, I wanted to do my own Hitchcock movie, but where he would pan the camera to the blood going down the drain. I'm going to keep my camera on it or inside of it. I love, Skylar, that you said you watched Torso. I watched this one this year and was like just hell yeah. This movie starts off, they all have a very weird pacing, all Giallo, because they don't care about plot structure. They care about vibes. It's just vibe. Torso starts out super weird, but then all these girls go to this house. These women go to this house after one of them was attacked, and they're like, we need to just hide out, have a girls' weekend, collect, get back to it. And then like the killer shows up at the house, and it is one of my absolute favorite like cat and mouse sneaky horror movies ever. Skylar, what'd you think about Torso?
Yeah, I mean, very fresh off my mind. I'm not gonna have too many thoughts off of it, but I found it to be less. I'm gonna compare it to New York Ripper. I think, more compelled by New York Ripper and its portrayal of its similar themes. But yeah, in terms of that one, on my first watch, not too much I have to say, so I'll hand it off to one of you guys.
All right, Chase, did you see Torso yet?
I did. So yeah, this one again. The pacing is very weird in this one.
They all are.
They're all very strange.
But yeah, it really picks up in the end where it's like a cat and mouse chase, and then it's like the mouse catching the cat at the end. It's very wild.
I love this one. It really was a pleasant surprise because I had avoided it for a really long time for whatever reason. Just like it's like, well, I could watch that, or I could watch Suspiria again, or Tenebrae again. But like Torso, man, I was blown away by the tension that it built, and like she's trapped in the house while her friends are being dismembered. Like a guy comes in the house, kills her friends, and then cuts them up with a saw, and she's stuck in the house while this happens.
And he's taking his time.
Oh my God, he doesn't think anybody's coming here. Yeah,
moving at a fucking snail's pace.
And she's just trying to crawl up and down the stairs. She knows which stair squeaks. She's trying not to step on the squeaky boards, like she's losing her shoes. Just a brilliant example of tension in cinematography and tension in cinemacraft that I love that.
That's a very like constant theme in Giallo, is like these long, like meandering scenes where you're like, where are we going? And the music is what carries a lot of these like otherwise boring scenes. Like you're just walking around following a character, but you're already so intrigued at what's going to happen next, and the music is what really solidifies you staying locked into what's happening, even if it's boring.
Yeah,
which I mean, Argento and Goblin is like a masterpiece. Like
Match
together, it's insane how good that music is and what it really does for the film itself.
And
especially with
go ahead.
Oh, especially with Argento in the 80s when he started incorporating like hair metal and glam metal into the soundtracks.
Oh,
that really
Iron Maiden in Phenomenon. Come on. But I mean, Goblin is an incredible example. Sergio Leone is used in a lot of these. He's most known for the spaghetti westerns. He did a ton of these movies, and it's like the use of electric guitar, the use of synth, the use of heavy, weird bass, and it almost like the first time you watch it, you're like, that doesn't work. That's the weirdest choice of music ever. But then you just let it wash over you, and it is.
It's like a character on its own. It like really like builds with the movie itself, and you know what's going to happen when the music's coming in and how it starts. You're just like, oh, okay, I know what I'm in for. Like your brain has learned as the movie's gone on what's about to happen.
Well, and that's a big part of like operatic themes. These things are very operatic, and they have themes for the killer, themes for the damsel in distress, themes for the hero, and but it's all synth rock.
Yeah, it's all this wild ass music.
So as I stated earlier, Bava kind of starts it out, and one of his first films, Blood and Black Lace, and it all takes place at a fashion institute. And this is one of the ones I saw later in my journey. And the use of color in these movies, blood is red,
super red,
tempera
deep
paint
red.
Yeah. The Blood and Black Lace uses so many like now we would call it like party light or like bisexual lighting, where it's like heavy blue, heavy pink, heavy green. Like they mastered using color as craft and painted with it in their cinematography. And Blood and Black Lace is one of my favorite ones for the use of color. Suspiria later, the use of red. He just painted with red in this movie, whether it's the blood, whether it's the windows around them, whether it's the lighting in the halls, the wallpaper. Their use of color is so incredible. And like I said, Blood and Black Lace is one that I always go to when you're just like, look at the colors. Like you don't see that anymore. Everybody goes so muted and washed out and bleach bypass. I love it when you can get some color in a movie, and it's like dude, my brother's in here throwing bangers. I love that he's on, man. Yeah, Claudio Cementi, Brian. But yeah, I love the use of colors. For you guys, when you think of great cinematography and color use in a film, what sticks out to you?
I would say,
are we just Giallo?
Could Italian horror. Let's broaden it.
Okay.
Skylar, you seem to have it. You had an answer.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my mind, like in a different way, Argento's Phenomena, with the like Switzerland setting, he really like uses natural colors in like a similar saturated way that builds a very fantastical and surreal environment. And Phenomena has a lot of similarities to Suspiria with like supernatural elements and stuff, but the visuals are so different, but still the colors in both are some of my favorite use of color ever.
Phenomena's great. I mean, you got the bugs, you got Jennifer Connelly in there, and then 6 times the guy
Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasance in there, yeah.
6 times.
This movie's crazy. Phenomena's crazy because she's like, you're like, what? Tell me some things about this movie. And you're like, there's a monkey with a razor blade. And you're like, is that a plot point in the movie? You're like, no, but there's a monkey with a razor blade in it.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. And they're like, this girl controlled bugs with her minds. Oh, is that a plot point? Kind of, but it doesn't matter. It literally does not matter if she has bug powers or not, but she has bug powers. You're like,
Iron Maiden just randomly plays too.
Just shredding through dream sequences. There's a pit full of corpses, a la Abigail, and you're like, is that part of the plot? And you're like, yes, that's the one part of the plot we got. Is this, and that one again is like in this weird space of Giallo supernatural adjacent, because there's all this supernatural elements, but it's still a murder mystery of trying to who done it, who's killing the kids at school, and where's that monkey with the razor blades. And they're just like, it's a weird one, but I love it. Just here for the monkey. Yeah. Oh my God, the corpse pit. So yeah, I love Phenomenon. It's a great one. There's all these also have different names. Like it's very hard to, you got to look up which one you're watching to make sure it's the right cut. It's getting better now that like Prestige releases are doing Blu-rays that are like complete collections, uncut versions of it. It's easier now, but like for a long time, the Italian version was called something else as the American version was called something else as like,
which we did get that recently with the Opera 4K release.
Bingo.
Where it's multi-disc, where you have like the theatrical cut of Opera, then you have the US cut Tear at the Opera, then you have the director's cut, which they also, I think, was the original Italian, what they showed in Italy. Yeah, it gets really confusing.
Different endings,
especially on Letterboxd, because there's one I watched, Stage Fright, which is also called Aquarius.
I love Stage Fright. The Owlhead. That one's almost a pure slasher. Like, and that's the thing, is this gives birth to slashers. And
for sure.
Mario Bava did a movie. I'm going to call it Twitch the Death Nerve, but you can find it as Bay of Blood. This is in 1971. Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't come out till 1974. In America, Texas Chainsaw Massacre oft considered the first slasher. But Bay of Blood is a movie about kids on an island. They break into a house. There's murder mystery on the island going on. Of course there is. And then they all get murdered. All the kills in this movie are reused in Friday the 13th Part 2 directly. They're like, holy shit, we're on this. Bay of Blood has some of the best and most inventive kills of its time, and it is almost just a straight up slasher. To find out that it came out 3 years before Texas Chainsaw Massacre blew my mind. Any of you guys see that movie or watch this while
I haven't watched it yet. It's on the list.
Bay of Blood is just a classic slasher. It is crazy cool for what it is. Again, pacing all over the place, but when it gets going, it's just like ripping. Crazy.
Well, it's interesting the difference between like a giallo and a slasher, because you could just talk about it and they sound like exactly the same. But then when you watch these movies, if you watch like Bay of Blood or Tenebrae or Deep Red, and then you watch Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or whatever, you would see how different they're completely different types of films. Like there's no real substance in a slasher of like that artistic flair and like this just weird, everything's just very off in a giallo movie. And then the slasher, you're just like, okay, this is happening. She's dead. He's dead. Who's the killer? Okay. That's the movie, you know.
And I think too with slashers and giallos, what I've noticed is with the slasher, you kind of get a very structured one-way story throughout, like each character, like where in giallo you're gonna like jump from character to character, and then you're just like halfway through the point you're gonna meet some character you've never even seen before that all of a sudden becomes an important part of the story.
Well, they don't care.
Now he's the main character.
Italians don't care.
It's all the vibes, man. Like I said, like a slasher is also trying to scare you, whereas I feel like giallos specifically are trying to titillate you. They are trying
Yeah.
to entice you.
Mhm.
And whereas also slashers were trying to warn you, don't be bad teenagers. They were morality plays. And
Right.
the giallos aren't necessarily have, some of them do have commentaries on morality, but like New York Rippers absolutely has a commentary on, but for the most part, they're trying to get you wrapped up in a story without really
Mhm.
any sort of commentary on whether that's a good or a bad thing. Like in Bay of Blood, it all wraps around who's inheriting this land, and everyone's shitty. Like
Yeah.
everybody's a bad guy in this movie, and I think that that's a very interesting thing. And it doesn't come until a little bit later, until we get to literally Suspiria. We really start to see the supernatural elements evolve, and then like now there's religion and morality tied into it.
Mhm.
You know, Suspiria starting out as a giallo and then turning into like a coven of witches, which is
Well,
freaking
also the
rad.
way sex is portrayed and the way women are portrayed, like how, like I was just watching Tenebrae right before this just to refresh, and like there's so many breasts, like there are so many boobs, and like you can
Yeah,
see through their shirts, but it's so like naturalistic. It's just kind of like how women, probably especially in the 70s, just walked around their house without a bra, and just you could see their boobs through their shirt, and it's that sells very much for the tickets. But also when you're watching it now, it's just like, oh yeah, just that makes sense. Like
But
why would
also,
she
you got
be?
where Europeans have a different view on
Yeah, yeah.
nudity
It's
than
just
Americans
so
do. Like,
blasé.
yeah, yeah, it's very like, oh, I can walk around with my shirt off, no big deal.
Yeah.
Where like in America, like especially in slasher films, is very sexualized and
Hmm.
yeah,
provocative.
And I'd say
Yeah.
like in Tenebrae versus Torso has that very sexualized portrayal of the same type of anatomy, but Tenebrae does not feel the same to me, and I think that's kind
No.
of you're touching on.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
Let's
and then
get
with like New York Ripper, it's just like hypersexualized, and like
Yeah,
in to the nth degree. It's like
in a
gross
gross way.
almost.
Yeah, it's in a gross
yeah.
Yeah.
way too.
The
They're
toe
really,
scene. Ugh.
oh, the toe ruined toe
Ugh.
forever. Um,
I
Tenebrae,
love that scene.
yeah, I know it's so, but it
Ugh.
has nothing to do with the plot. Again, it's just a segue, and all
Yeah,
these movies that have so many different segues. Tenebrae is my favorite Giallo. It's my
it's so good.
absolute
I
favorite
love it.
one. Between that and Suspiria, but Tenebrae is my favorite because it had such a good twist and such a good job of misleading. I love the cast. The name
Yeah,
I'm
the acting's so good. John Saxton's in it.
John
Yeah.
Saxton. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dad from Nightmare
Nightmare
on
on Elm
Elm
Street.
Street is so good, and it's about an author. He comes to Italy. Somebody starts killing in the form of his books that he's
Hmm.
writing, and he's like, "Oh, that's weird." And they start targeting him, and he's like, "Oh, interesting." And he decides to go and find the killer, and it starts to get wild and twisted. And I love, what a great twist. I'm not going to give it away, but what a great way to hide that twist in different layers
Yeah.
of these kills. And
And there's so many misleading directions. They're like,
mhm,
oh, you think it's this person, then you think it's this person, then there's other clues, and you're like, okay, well, it can't be that person, but could it be that person?
so gory.
Yeah.
Skylar, you mentioned that your big focus on all this. You're a big Argento fan. What in his oeuvre, Tenebrae or Suspiria? What are your drawing points to him? What do you like about Argento?
Honestly, it's his over the top approach to it more so than so many of his contemporaries. Like the color, the camera work, and the stories are often so much more absurd. And if you can hear my dog, she's just running around. But
Hi, dog.
um, so mostly that and his visuals and the like how most of his stories and the mysteries are like you guys say like the twists come out of nowhere and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just go with it. But like with Tenebrae feels much more aligned with like how slashers form now, how they are nowadays, and the mystery was, like you said, very well done. And I think my favorite part about Tenebrae that you don't notice when you first watch it, but that many people have talked about since then. Each of the main characters has a counterpart that looks very similar to them,
Mm.
and doppelganger. And he uses that in the cinematography in Tenebrae for like a lot of really ironic moments that you only get on like a rewatch or a third watch, because once you know the twist, and that's really it really feels thought out in Tenebrae more so than a lot of his other films, specifically with the doppelganger stuff and a lot of weird stuff with Tenebrae, like how he envisioned it set in a post-atomic near future, and that doesn't necessarily come through in a lot of ways, but it's, yeah, I love that film.
It's very interesting too. You mentioned the aesthetics of their sort of visual style. All of these directors have like a calling card thing. Fulci, it's eye trauma. Argento, it's slamming women's heads through windows. Like I kid you not. Every one of his movies, somebody gets their heads slammed through a window, and it's always like, it's very shocking. Suspiria, Phenomena, Tenebrae, they all have somebody getting their head smashed through a window. Super violent, very, very arresting. But I think it's very interesting that they all have a calling card like that, and they've all sort of like.
I think also with Argento is the cinematography in Argento's films is like so really fucking good. Like in Tenebrae, there's an amazing like tracking shot, like a long take that you start in the like downstairs floor of an apartment, and then you go all the way up and you see this other girl that's getting undressed and like putting on music, la la la, and then you go down, you see the killer breaking into the house, and then you go back to where we began, and you're like, oh shit, things are about to go down. And it's just all from this long take. And the thing that carries you through it is the music from Goblin, like, or else it'd just be this boring shot of the outside of a building. And it's just like, well, I'm not really seeing much until you get to each window. But the music, you know, we're in for a treat. You know, we're about to see something really cool. And and sure enough, we do. We see it. We see a lot of really amazing things that happen.
And cinematography in Argento's films definitely, like you're saying, go hand in hand. And like in opera, like when the music is at its peak and most like heightened, the visuals are also reflecting that, and they go hand in hand and elevate each other to like that. Like really is what makes those films for me.
Suspiria is one that I really did want to talk about it, even though it's sort of Giallo adjacent. But it does start off in that genre. Like it is a mystery. You don't know what's going on. And it's like, surprise, witches.
Yeah, it kind of just has like a flip on it.
Yeah. And now you get into the Coven of Witches. And then they remade that movie years later. And I don't know if you all have seen the remake, but I want to talk about it because.
Well, also really quick, that the music, like they're literally like Goblin is literally going witch like the whole time, like, and you're like, what are they saying? And then as you watch the movie, you're like, oh shit, they're literally just saying witch.
Yeah, that's one that I have on vinyl and will literally put on if I need to get.
Oh, it's so good.
If I need to like get into a tense vibe, like Goblins. Well, oh man, they're just one of the best. But yeah, Suspiria just killed it. And then the remake. Who did the music for the remake? It's like Eddie Vedder, something like that. I kid you not. It's like
no way.
It's some rock star who went on to do like really cool stuff. Girl with the dragon tattoo as well.
Tom York from Radiohead.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So what do you guys think about the remake? Did it do its own thing well? Is it a travesty of cinema? Is it like where do you land on it?
You know, I think it did well because again, we've talked about, Chris, I know you were in our remake episode just a few weeks ago, and I've said this time and time again on the show that if you do a remake, just don't do a shot for shot copy of the original just with new CGI, modern technology. You take the basic skeletal structure of the original and add your own story on top of that. And I feel like it was successful in that.
Oh, for sure.
Because it did take the basic skeletal structure of this. American student goes to a dance academy in Berlin. It's run by a Coven of Witches, but they added their own story on top of it. I think what really helps this, elevates this, is first of all, Luca Guadagnino is probably one of, I think, that kind of master auteur directors out right now. And I think his visual style, where this the original is known for its bright reds and bright blues and bright purple lightings. He's like, no, I'm just going to do a very muted, a lot of grays, a lot of tans, a lot of whites, a lot of blacks. Also, Tilda Swinton, me and Aaron were talking about in the waiting room before the show, how she did not get any kind of award buzz when this came out is beyond me. She plays 3 roles and she's phenomenal. You got Mia Goth, who is a powerhouse actress within herself.
Phenomenal. The thing that really strikes me about this one that I it's hard for me to get around its muted colors because I want Suspiria to be bright.
Okay.
He's literally fighting to not be Suspiria, which is fine. Like, that's 100% okay. What it does well is I think it brought more the story of the witches. It's like, I'm going to focus more on that because the first one, the original, just kind of goes surprise witches. And now you're thrown into it. And this one, for the whole movie, is weaving in witches. I think the movie suffers from being way too long. But the scene where they dance and kill a woman with dancing is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in cinema. Because they're dancing and a woman in the room next door is being controlled by their motions, and she's literally
her bones breaking. She pisses herself at one point,
bent to death, and it's incredible.
It's nice because they're very separate movies, right?
Yeah,
like
very.
You can. I think the newer one had kind of a better overall plot. It like, because you could actually follow what was going on. Like some of these Italian movies, like you're just along for the ride, and you're just like, you got to kind of turn your brain off and not really like try to judge it like it's like a real, like a normal film, because things just happen and you just kind of go, okay. But the newer Suspiria, you didn't have that. Like, you're like, okay, I know what's happening. Okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And you go through the film, you're like, okay, that was good. And then you watch the old Suspiria, and you're like, okay, I guess this is happening now. And
it's so weird.
Now there's witches.
It is so weird, but I love the old one because of its, like, I don't know, it's almost campy in the
so campy. Well, all Giallo are campy. They're all just camp and trash in a good way.
Except what?
Especially Argento.
Yeah, Argento. Yeah. I love his camp aesthetic and you know, the jarring use of it. But the new one also ended with a scene that I was mind-blowing. Like, it just really was one of those things you're like, I've never seen anything like it. Good on you for finishing strong. But I will return to watch the Argento one over and over and over again, at least once a year, as Skylar used to say. But the new one, it's like I saw once and was like, holy cow, I'm super impressed and haven't been drawn back to that well. Why? Well, even though it's like, man, it's that's a better film, or has some, so definitely 2 scenes in it that are masterful. Why did the new one still not become a classic, whereas the original is ingrained in horror cinema?
I think it comes back to the fact that they're not made really for anybody except the director, the very auteur.
Interesting.
You know, and then you were like, what? Like, I've seen New York Ripper probably like 6 times.
Yeah.
And I love showing it to people. I love watching it with someone who's never seen it and watching how they react. And I get something new every time I watch it just from watching them react. Because, like, everyone kind of takes different things from these films compared to like a newer movie or a remake. They kind of don't really do the new stuff. Like, they don't do anything really interesting and bizarre and out of left field from like these Italian dudes. They didn't give a shit. They were just doing whatever they wanted to do.
Skylar, what were you going to say? You were saying something about why is it a classic to the other?
I think it lies within the fact that it is so against the Hollywood narrative that we are also used to as Americans. Like, that is what we grew up with. And so, like, when we see something that's like not told in the like 3-act structure exactly how we're used to, it's like, oh, that's not what I'm used to. But like with Suspiria specifically, so much of it is just like, you have to suspend yourself into this dreamlike state and get whatever you will out of it. And, you know, on a bunch of rewatches, you can, you know, understand the plot. But like, also with the remake, it explains the plot as you're going, like a Hollywood narrative. And So there's less mystique about it, and by the end of it, you know what's happening, and you're not like left scratching your head really in any sort of way. And the same thing goes for the two Suspiria sequels that Argento did. They are much more Hollywood narrative and less dreamlike, and they do explain the lore behind the witches, and it's less successful to me because what I like about Suspiria is the mystery and the open-endedness of it, and on your first couple of watches you could really, whatever is in your mind is what is happening in the, whatever you're making of it is what it is, you know, because it's so big.
Yeah, and I think what it is American audiences are used to having everything spoon fed to them, like you said, in a 3-act structure, where Italian horror, Giallo, it's so weird. Like, it honestly requires, I agree, multiple rewatches. Like, one of my favorite ones is one actually you got me into, Aaron, when I first became host of the show, when we did our Phantom at the Opera episode, is Dario Argento's Opera. Because immediately after, I went and watched it. And first time it was like, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Then it was like the second time I rewatched it, I was like, oh, wow, this is really good. And then it was like third and fourth time, I was like, I fucking love this movie. This is amazing.
It's so cool
I
too.
Spent more money on any physical media than I have opera.
What's your shirt today, Chase? What's your shirt?
So
sick Suspiria shirt.
Suspiria. So first of all, if you're watching on the Block of Horror virtual world inside the Prophets Theater, after the show, just go around and take your avatar on a little walk around the Block of Horror virtual world. One of my favorite brands where you can actually buy is Cult of Cult, and this is actually from Cult of Cult.
Yeah, licensed Suspiria stuff. That's sick.
Love it. And they have a lot of cool stuff. They had posters on their website. They have I think hoodies. They might have a beanie. I'm not too sure.
I have the window beanie from it's the Suspiria window, the big rose window, stained glass window on a hat. I got that for my wife because that's her favorite horror movie is Suspiria. Just before Dario Argento made Suspiria, he did Deep Red, which is like, to me, his most Giallo-esque movie. It's very much in the genre. Black gloves, masked killer, murder mystery. This has the inspiration for Billy the Puppet when a ventriloquist doll rides in on a tiny little tricycle
out of nowhere for no reason.
For no reason.
It's just so random.
Yeah,
like it's just he's.
It's just a distraction pretty much, because then right after that you get a jump scare. It's like two jump scares back to back.
Deep Red is a classic Giallo, and I think almost one of the best examples of the genre. Like, if you're going to point people in any direction,
for sure.
Like, for me, it's Blood and Black Lace, Birds of the Crystal Plumage, Deep Red are like the staples of, like, this is exactly what you want when you look at this. But then, you know, from there you can branch out into the Bays of Blood, the Suspirias, the New York Rippers, Tenebrae. Like, I think there's so much fun in the genre. And the soundtrack for Deep Red is again
so good.
Just probably better than Suspiria, but Suspiria is my
I think
Heart
was it that movie was the first time Goblin and Argento worked together?
Yeah, I believe so. Goblin
I
still
think
tours. You can still go see Goblin play one of these movies at like bars. you show up at a bar and you're like, oh, cool band. Oh, they're gonna play a movie. Cool. What are we watching? And it's like, like, oh no, witch. Yes. After Suspiria, we get the era of the Italian zombie films, not Giallo, but often thrown into the genre as a broader whole because of Fulci, because of the just being Italian horror. Zombie being 1979's entry into it, also called Zombie 2 because they're trying to go off of the Dawn of the Dead. This is where the names start to get weird. Dawn of the Dead craze, Night of the Living Dead craze. And it's a great movie. I mean, it's a great zombie movie. You get a zombie fighting a shark at one point.
One of the best scenes.
Yeah, just so good. It's just and again, has no point to the plot. Literally, the boat goes over. They go swimming for a second. no reason. Then a shark appears, and you're like, oh, is the shark going to eat the people? No, they get out of the water and drive away, and you're like, why did you show us that shark if it wasn't? And then a zombie shows up, and you're like, whoa, a zombie! And then the zombie fights the shark. It's
Why'd
incredible.
you tease us with the shark?
So good.
Yeah. Amazing. And then you get just some really great zombie gore action. It's a freaking classic. But it opened up the world to the more gory aspect of what Italian horror was doing, because in the 70s, late 70s and 80s, things got really gnarly. New York Ripper comes out in this era with 82.
Out of control.
Anthrophagus, which was a banned film for a long time, City of the Living Dead, Nightmare City, The Beyond. These are all hyper-violent, supernatural, zombie, ghost.
House by the Cemetery.
Yes. Gnarly.
The Fulci trilogy.
Yeah. Just super gnarly, supernatural gore fests that are really fun in their own right. But, some people don't like them, but the Gorehounds are down. I love The Beyond, man. That's a great one. Nightmare City is a really hidden gem in the Italian zombie sort of world. Very bizarre, but a balls to the wall nonstop. Like it ends on a roller coaster. The roller coaster's not on, but the people are trying to climb up the roller coaster to get away from the zombies. And the zombies are fast and have weapons. So like the zombies are picking up axes and chasing people. And you're like, whoa, the zombies in all these look like somebody just like spilled their oatmeal. And we're like,
yeah, they have weird ass faces.
Yeah, you're done. Anthrophagus classically has a baby getting eaten. Not for everybody. Right. But
that movie's a little slow for me when I watched it.
So slow, but it was one of the video nasties, so it's notorious. Yeah. Gotta love a notorious film. But and then in the later 80s you get into Demons and Demons 2, which I absolutely love.
Those movies are insane.
Chris, we actually had a discussion talking about this when I was watching it. You were like, would you really consider that Giallo?
Yeah, that's a whole different animal. Those movies are wild. I can't even, how do you even explain the plot of the movie? It's like you have to watch the movie and then all of a sudden everyone's going to die because they're watching this movie, and it's like this weird, but I can't even explain that movie.
What about the mask that turns you into a demon?
Right.
I just want to get to the part where Berlin's Accept starts playing fast as a shark while a guy on a motorbike with a samurai sword is cutting up zombies, and then a helicopter crashes into the ceiling of the building. Like you can't, like you just tell you try to explain it. You're like, and then the demon comes out of his back, and they're like, what? Like you can't explain these movies, and that's part of what's so fun about it, because you can show somebody a clip from it, and they're like, is that what the movie's about? And you're like, not even really.
No.
Just a scene. It's a cool scene.
Just like 45 minutes in, it just happens.
Yeah. Vibes. It's bananas. One that I do want to touch on is 1994. We're getting into the 90s now. This is Cemetery Man, Delamore.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way I can describe this is Evil Dead from a romanticist standpoint in Italian cinema.
All right.
It's a guy and his very bizarre gravedigger buddy.
What's the guy's name?
Oh, what is his name?
It's like an Igor thing. Is it like just Igor?
It might be. He's
like a mute. He's a weird bald dude.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know. It's a great movie. Cannot be described, cannot be explained, but he falls in love with a corpse and the corpse comes back to life and they have a little relationship and it's cute. But very bizarre. Sex, guns, and zombies. Oh my. And it is a wild ride, and also like very bizarrely funny in a way. I cannot recommend it more. It was a sleeper hit for me too, whereas like I just was like, I'd never watched it. I wasn't into the idea of the romance of it all, and then I started watching it. Like, this movie's gross, weird, totally fun.
It's very, very strange.
Yeah,
and it's a fun movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So bizarre, real weird. Again, makes no sense. There's a lot of stuff in it where you're like, why are the dead lights in this? What is up with the floating balls of fire? And they're like, don't worry about it, homie. Just watch the movie. And I'm like, thanks.
That's like
Um,
the
And then
one
so
thing you pounded in my head, Aaron, when I
Yeah.
started this watch. It was like, just don't try to get it, just vibe
No.
with it. And
yeah.
and
You-
that's the thing. Like I watched a lot of these with my partner.
what do you think?
And it was like each night for like the last couple weeks, I'm like, all right, we're gonna watch this Giallo, and he's like, God damn it. Like, he would dread it every time. Half the time he ended up falling asleep, but I was like, look, it was like you just gotta kind of go with it. You just gotta
let it happen. Just let it happen.
Just let it happen. Just don't try to understand it. Like just embrace it.
Vibes. You just got, yeah, you really just need to feel your way through it. But there's something so alluring to it, because I think with all of us, when you've consumed as much horror content as we have, and you feel like you've reached the end of a rainbow, you've been like, I've seen it all, nothing can bother me, I've seen all the gore, I've seen all the slashers, there's nothing new. And then I said, what if there was a bunch of stuff from the 70s that is the DNA of what we love? It doesn't make any sense. It might not even be good, but there's something about it that is so arresting that you can't look away. And that to me was the thing that drew me into it so hard. Was it was a fresh breath into a genre that I thought was boring. It was getting boring, and it keeps you on your toes because it doesn't follow any of the rules. And I love that.
You never know what you're going to get with these movies ever. Like, there's a movie we haven't talked about. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called Pieces. And that movie is incredible. I thought Pieces was
Spanish.
No. Is it?
Who did
It
Pieces?
Is Spanish. It's Spanish.
Oh, then, well, it's.
But it has a lot of Giallo elements.
It's very to me. I didn't know that, because it's very Giallo-esque. Like you have that.
So is Pieces is great.
So good. It's so good. Like I never even had heard of these movies. Like getting into Giallo was such a fascinating time for me. It was like during the pandemic, I think, and I could not get enough. Aaron, you talking about like this breath of fresh air. It was such a breath of fresh air, and I was just like going down the rabbit hole. I could not stop consuming Giallo. Like for like a month. It was just like, what can I watch next? What can I watch next? And then learning about Fulci, and then getting into the Fulci trilogy, and like, holy shit, this is gory as fuck. I love it. Like, it's just so bizarre. And then Pieces, I stumble upon Pieces, and that movie is fucking wild, with the craziest ending out of any of these movies I've ever seen. Like the last minute, you think it ends, and then there's another ending, and you're like, holy fuck, what did I just watch? It's incredible.
I do
and it
love
makes
this
anyone
movie.
hurt like that. And God,
the ending is painful.
Should have just let the kid finish his porno puzzle. The movie starts with like this little kid like doing a puzzle, and the mom walks in, is like, "What are you doing?" And it's like a naked lady, and she's like, "Throw that away!" And he's like,
starts beating the shit out of him. Then you get like the worst. The thing is that cracks me up with these Giallo is like the ad-libbing of it, because a lot of these actors are speaking Italian, where this one is Spanish, where it's like you get this like little boy, and he's like, it sounds like a grown man trying to do
well, it's all dubbed. Like all these movies, like, that's another
like
the thing about all these Italian films is they didn't record sound ever, because it was cheaper for them to dub all these movies, because they were distributing them all around the world. So they just would have the actors read their lines in their native tongue, which is usually a very mixed cast from all around the world, and then they would just dub it later. So we get these really weird, like the dialogue could be so stilted and bizarre, and just like, why do they even say that? Does it make sense to say something like that? And it's just because they wrote the script kind of later, like in the recording booth.
All right, so live on the fly, I'm looking this up, and it's like Pieces was written by an American and produced by an Italian, but then shot in Spain with a Spanish crew. So it absolutely has Giallo DNA in its body, in its stitched together body.
I could have sworn.
But I'm glad that you brought up the dialogue, because it's all over the place, and like there's times when you can tell, like, that's obviously that guy's speaking German, and this person is obviously not speaking English, and that person is speaking Italian, but it's all dubbed into whatever language you're watching.
Which I mean, I don't know if anybody acts or anything like that, but like as an acting standpoint, like how bizarre would it be to be acting with your partner, your co-star, and they're speaking a whole different language. They probably don't even understand English,
Not
and
even
you're saying
trying.
you're saying your dialogue, and then they have to just know when to say their dialogue. It's just like this weird dance that seems like, not that the acting's like spectacular or anything, but it's good. It's competent. Like you can really like get invested in these stories, even though these actors are not from the same country whatsoever.
Right.
Famously, Cynthia Rothrock, who is a martial artist.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she was in these Hong Kong films, and she's this American badass, really good martial artist, and she's in these Hong Kong films that are super solid. And they would say, "Don't worry about the script; just say whatever. It doesn't even matter." And she goes, what do you mean my lines don't even matter? I have to know what I'm supposed to say. And they're like, say anything. And so she's like, my first movie, I'm like, dubba, 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 like just mumbling through it. And they're like, yeah, now be happy here. And so you watch some of her early films and it's so goofy because she's like, after that, she was like, you have to tell me what the point is. I can get around it. I can make up American words. Just tell me what's supposed to happen here.
See, when you mentioned martial arts, I thought you were going to talk about the martial arts scene in Pieces, which is so fucking random.
Oh, so random.
Like it's just like some walkings down like a lady's walking down an alley, and then some guy just comes up, starts doing kung fu. And then some guy fights him off, and he's like, oh, giving him a hug. That's our kung
then they're
fu
like
teacher.
best friends out of nowhere.
Yeah. One of my favorite gimmicks in a movie when somebody's like, you son of a bitch, you got a lot of nerve to come here. Come on. And then they bring it in for a hug, the Lando moment. A movie that I want to bring up, it doesn't fit anywhere, but it's worth mentioning since we're so close to it. Lucio Fulci, before he made horror movies, did Westerns, because in this whole time period, they're making horror films. They're also making the spaghetti Western. And Lucio, which I love. I mean, I could go all day on that too. But Lucio Fulci did a movie called 4 for the Apocalypse, which is one of the most nihilistic and sadistic Westerns I've ever seen. It's about these thieves that escape with his pregnant girlfriend. They go out into the desert, and this creepy dude shows up to their campfire and is like, hey, you guys want to do some peyote? And they're like, no. And then he's like, all right, cool. Who wants some hot chocolate? And they all get dosed, but with peyote, and he tortures and does horrible things to them for the rest of the movie. And then they escape, and he keeps following them like the Hitcher. It is not a pleasant film, but it's one of those things that you're like, for its time and for who did it, if you're like, I like me some Fulci, I'm into Westerns, I like horror, this kind of rides that line. Again, it's bleak and sadistic, but it falls into that realm, and it's kind of worth noting if people are diehards and like, oh, I got to see everything that Fulci did. That's one that people miss, and it's wild, and also just a weird point for the genre too, because it's like Westerns are usually about the good guys prevailing, about heroes rising, about anti-heroes winning gold and sticking it to the man, and this is just about a piece of shit scaring and torturing people. Oh, yay, movies. I love cinema. Let's bring it back around, getting back to finish up our Italian thing, our Giallo and Italian horror conversation. I want to go around and kind of give some final thoughts about, is there a movie? Could be the same movie, could be two movies. Where do you start people down this path? And what movie for you will remain, and we've probably already talked about it, but what movie for you will remain the high watermark for you in this genre? Chase, what do you think?
So I'm going to go with to start off. And again, this is what I actually started off my partner with. Was actually something you started me off with, as mentioned earlier in the show. It's Dario Argento's Opera. Cool. It's just so weird. It has just honestly, out of all the films that I've watched in this subgenre, this one kind of seems to have the most basic plot structure, kind of the easiest to follow. And to me, the high mark will definitely be that, Suspiria, or Tenebrae. Those were like my 3 favorites out of the bunch that I've watched.
Very cool. Awesome. Skylar, what's your intro and what do you give people to start and what's your high water mark?
So, for fans of American horror or slashers, I would definitely say start with either Tenebrae or The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I
Mm-hmm.
think
That was good.
they're just the easiest to access instead of like jumping right into Suspiria or Inferno or something like that. But then from that, obviously, I do think Suspiria is a high point for me. So I'll say that one.
Rad. I love Suspiria so much. Chris, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think right along with Skylar, the bird with the crystal plumage, Tenebrae, or Deep Red, I think are so easy to follow. Everything's kind of very laid out for you, and you also get so many bizarre little things that you're like, they're not too bizarre, but they're just weird enough to you're like, what's going on? Like, what kind of movie am I watching?
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of just like, sex that can be very appealing for people who like can get disinterested in nothing happening. And you're just like, okay, you're along for the ride. The mystery at the end is usually out of left field. And you're like, holy, what was going on? What did I miss? And then you kind of maybe want to watch it again, or maybe want to watch another type of Giallo movies. And also, something we didn't mention is the motive for these killers ends up usually being some like psychosomatic problem they've had all their life.
Previous
That's
trauma.
been like, yeah, that's been like underground. It's been like buried, and like something randomly happens, and
Mommy
like
wouldn't
that's
let me
what
finish
triggers
the puzzle. Yeah, exactly.
right. And like in pieces, he literally gets. I don't think this ruins anything, but he gets triggered by this glass breaking, and like it's his psychosis is breaking as well, or whatever. And then if you want to go into, I mean, obviously, New York Ripper is near and dear to my heart. I don't know if it's for everybody.
Sad for that one.
The New York Ripper. Oh God, the ending in that movie is like, okay, Pieces might have the craziest, most wild, out of nowhere ending. The ending for the New York Ripper is the most depressing, sad. Like you don't even really know what's going on in this
duck was
situation.
The protector for his daughter. You're like, what?
Oh, don't ruin it. Don't ruin anything. It's so sad. And like that ending is just like, I watched it last night and I was like, oh my God. It's so depressing. It's just so fucked up.
Wait, Chris, I had watched that after you recommended it to me. And out here I was like so grossed out most of the movie. And then it gets to me, I'm like, well, fuck, that's sad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm depressed now.
You really just like, honestly, I think it's one of the most disgusting movies in so many ways that you just want to take a shower and get it off your skin. You don't want anything to do with the movie. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like for a film to actually make you feel that way, it's like it goes to show how good of a film it is, even though it's not really like a good film, but it did its job so well that you kind of feel gross afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely felt gross. One of its first Blu-ray releases is in a yellow case, which I love. Like it's a Blu-ray, but they put it in the yellow case in homage to the Giallo, the true origins of Giallo. For me, what I kick people off to is I like Bay of Blood, because if somebody's like, I'm a big slasher fan, it's like, well, you've seen all the kills from Friday the 13th Part 2. You'll love this movie. People get into it, and then you turn them onto a Tenebrae or something like that. That's like, here's the murder mystery side of it. Here's where things get crazy, and then ramp up to Suspiria, which is an adult dose of like just Italian excellence and wildness. And then if they like that, then I can say, you want to see some zombies? And they're like, yeah. Yes, I do.
House by the Cemetery with Bob.
KJ's way to sell it, Chris. Way to sell it. Well, if you guys want to take a shower, hop on the New York Ripper train. It's a solid movie, but it is one of the wilder outings.
So good
because it threw everything at the wall. Everything. It starts with a dog finding a corpse hand in the bushes and doesn't even let up from there, and the whole time
it's so New York as well. Like, a lot of these other movies we've been talking about are so Italian, like they take place in Italy, and that like the Italian architecture and the art is very much a part of these movies. New York Ripper, none of that shit. It's very
No.
gross New York. It's whatever the 70s, 80s.
New
You're on
York in the
42nd
70s.
Street.
Yeah.
Like
Musky.
there's nudie shops everywhere, and just like prostitution is rampant.
People do
Drugs.
not understand how gross New York was in the 70s and 80s, especially in Times Square and stuff. Like there was so much sex trade going on. And in the movie, a woman goes to a live sex show. And I don't
Yeah.
think people realize that that was a real thing. Before you could just hop online to find pornography or buy it in a magazine, you went and watched people live, which is like
Yeah.
such a foreign thing to us now. We're like, that's weird. And it's like, yeah, back then that's what you paid to do, peep show booths and things like that. It was so sleazy. But right next door to porno theater that's showing, something nasty part 9, right next door was Shogun Assassin. Because in this era,
Yeah.
the porno theaters, when they're like, I don't have enough porno to show, they were buying kung fu from Hong Kong, and that was like the in between. So that's what, when people are like, why is there so much like coming out of New York? Why is there so much kung fu mythology? Especially in early hip hop. And it's like, because the theaters back then, if they were cheap theaters, they were buying porno and kung fu and Italian cinema, and
Yeah.
it's all because of how
B
cheap it was.
movie glory.
B movie glory. So like you got to give props to that era, because we wouldn't have had all that influence coming over if these movie theaters were just cheap as fuck. But I love it. And in New York Ripper, you literally see these movie theaters and it's like porno,
Yeah.
Shogun Assassin, and I'm like, hell yes, I love it.
Great depiction of the city.
Yeah, it really is a slice of life, which is shocking and exciting at the same time. Time for some plugs. Skylar, plugs, anything you got going on, anything you want the people to know about, where can they follow you? Plug it up, man.
So I am Skylar Gaetano on YouTube and most things, and I'm posting a video later today on American Horror Story Red Tide. That is the first half of their double feature, and one of the weakest ones, so it should be a fun time.
Womp womp. Do you like the double feature format? Do you think that there's potential, even if this one wasn't as strong as you had hoped? Do you think the format has promise?
I think, for better or for worse, modern seasons of American Horror Story have naturally just become double features ever since, like, even before double feature. Like Roanoke was split into 2, and a lot of the fans expect a big twist in the middle of the season, and 1984 is pretty much split into 2 different stories, and that was both before double features. So I think when it works, like in 1984, it really works. But and Roanoke is successful too, but those are more even splits. When they actually decided to do a double feature, they did not split it down the middle, and it's
interesting.
It's actually the only season I haven't finished. I remember me and my partner watched all of Red Tide. Red Tide's the first one, right? The one with Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. We finished all of that. I think we watched like the first 2 episodes of Death Valley, and we were just like, we can't do this. This is awful.
I loved what that show was doing from the get-go. I fell off around the time Clowns came around, but like I loved Hotel. Hotel is my all-time favorite season. I think it was so strong. But we should come back and talk American Horror Story at some point. Would you be down for that?
Of course, a ton to say.
Oh, awesome. Because I love it. It really was, I think, a phenomenal exercise. I think it's probably in its golden years of its lifespan, but at the same time, hey, it's hanging in there and keeping people interested in horror and still telling stories, and hopefully still telling interesting stories. Not every season is going to be a hit, but I give them credit for all the hits they have. Chris, what's plugs? What do you got going on, man?
Not much going on, but I think, if you find me on Instagram at Call Me Carlson and you watch New York Ripper, I would love to know what you guys think. Please just tell me. If you're watching this and you watch New York Ripper, shoot me a message. Tell me if I've ruined your life, if you're going to have nightmares, if you are grossed out by feet for the rest of your life. Just let me know.
Oh my gosh.
It's a trip. It's a journey, and it's fun.
It's a thumb, but it looked like a toe.
New York Ripper streams are going to go up 200%.
Right. I think you should be paid by whoever still has the rights to that, because you've been the
It really
ultimate
did. I don't
billboard.
know what it just for me, I like the weird, gross, hypersexualized, hyper violent. Doesn't
Nailed it.
make sense. It is perfect. And then it just at the end, it's just so fucked up. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
I do really think, it does a lot of things right. For everything it does so wrong, it somehow makes it right in the total stew that it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're going to get me started talking about New York in the 70s and the serial killer epidemic that was gripping America. True crime, man.
Summer Sam.
Yeah, right. I mean, all of that stuff. Chase, plugs.
Yeah. So first of all, Chris, Skylar, thank you both for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
So of course you can see me here every Saturday with you, Aaron, on Half Hour of Horror. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Letterboxd at @OheyIt'sChase, TikTok at @OheyIt'sChase_. And yeah, happy birthday, Aaron.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
Thanks, man. Big 4-1. So yeah, I got married on my birthday, so it's also my 17th anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Here's what came down. Her parents are like, if you're going to get married, it has to be in the church. And I was like, okay. And the church was like, hey, this weekend that you want to get married, it's either Easter weekend and there'll be free flowers, or you can pay like 14 grand for flowers. And we were like, free's good, but it's my birthday. Fuck it, we'll buy a cake. So we got married on my birthday, and it has been a wonderful adventure. I love it. I'm super happy. I love my wife. Big shout out to you, Kate, who loves Suspiria. So she's cool. And 41. So thanks to everybody for the happy birthday wishes. I'm just so happy that I got to do this on my birthday. I love talking horror. I love talking horror with awesome people who also love horror. The BOH family. Shout out to you guys. We got to give some blood coin away. And I'm going to be a little selfish and a little bit of an idiot today about it, but this is going to be the blood coin word today is birthday. Sorry, it was going to be toes, but it's going to be birthday.
I thought it was going to be witch.
Yeah, witch. So yeah, if you go to Blog of Horror, open up a ticket and type in birthday, get some blood coin for me, even though I'm not the one who doles it out. And I'll just say it's my present to you. I appreciate all you guys. So yeah, you can follow me, Facebook. What am I on? I'm on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, McLean and Abel, and my other podcast, the Launchpad Podcast, there as well. And we're on Instagram and YouTube. But yeah, we'll be back next week with some more exciting stuff. We have some more guests coming up, and we have some more fun. I don't know. I blanked there for a second. We have some fun topics to discuss and fun movies, and I hope both Skylar and Chris, I hope you guys come back and join us at any point. You are welcome. Love people who know their stuff, and a big shout out to my brother Kevin. Thanks for watching today. He was in the comments just like blowing it up with great points. I love he is on par, if not more than me, with the horror films, and a great film scholar. You should follow him on Letterboxd, where we will be putting our list that we've put together of all the awesome Giallo that we've talked about today, and maybe some ones we didn't talk about as well. But yeah, go on there on Letterboxd to check out the Half Hour Horror list that we'll put out. We'll put that in the Discord and on YouTube. So yeah, till then, have a great day, everybody. Don't let the pollen get you down. It's the pollen apocalypse. Peace out.